Minoxidil. That's the topical solution you've probably seen advertised for years. Originally developed as a blood pressure medication, doctors noticed patients applying it to their scalps started growing hair where they'd been thinning, and it became one of the few FDA-approved treatments for male pattern baldness. You apply it directly to the scalp twice a day, and it works by improving blood flow to the follicles, pushing them back into a growth phase. It won't work forever on its own, but for many men in the early to moderate stages of hair loss, it can slow down the process significantly and even regrow some thickness. There's a reason it's often paired with something else on this list, and you'll see why in a moment. Finasteride. This is a prescription pill that targets the hormone behind most male balding, dihydrotestosterone, or DHT. Your body naturally converts some testosterone into DHT, and for men with a genetic sensitivity, that DHT gradually shrinks the hair follicles on top of the head. Finasteride blocks the enzyme responsible for that conversion, keeping DHT levels low enough that your follicles can survive longer. It's been on the market since the 1990s, and studies show it stops further hair loss in about 8 out of 10 men who take it. The catch is you have to keep taking it to maintain the effect, and it does come with potential side effects, so a conversation with a doctor is essential before starting. But here's something interesting. Even if you don't want to take a daily pill, there are still other ways to disrupt DHT's effect on your scalp without swallowing anything. Ketoconazole Shampoo. Most men think of this as just a dandruff shampoo, but the active ingredient has a mild anti-androgen effect. That means it fights the same DHT-related inflammation that contributes to balding, just much more gently than prescription pills. Originally used to treat fungal infections on the scalp, ketoconazole was found to reduce shedding and improve hair density over time. You use it 2 or 3 times a week, letting it sit on the scalp for a few minutes before rinsing. It's not a replacement for minoxidil or finasteride, but it works very well alongside them, especially for keeping the scalp environment healthy and reducing the itch or irritation that often comes with thinning hair. What's surprising is how many men skip this step because it seems too simple, and yet that simplicity leads to a problem we'll talk about later: microneedling. This one sounds more aggressive than it really is. A small roller covered in tiny needles is gently rolled over thinning areas, creating microscopic punctures in the skin. That might seem counterintuitive, but those tiny injuries trigger the body's natural healing response, sending growth factors and blood to the scalp. When combined with minoxidil, studies show microneedling can double or even triple the regrowth results. The technique started gaining real traction in dermatology around 2013, and home devices have become much safer and easier to use since then. You typically do it once a week, and the sensation is more of a mild prickle than real pain, but there's a question that comes up constantly. If you're causing tiny wounds, how do you make sure you're not doing more harm than good? The answer has to do with something you probably already have in your bathroom cabinet: dietary adjustment for iron and vitamin D. A surprising number of men losing hair are simply deficient in these two nutrients. Iron helps red blood cells carry oxygen to the follicles, and without enough of it, hair growth slows down and shedding increases. Vitamin D, on the other hand, is directly involved in creating new hair follicles. Low vitamin D levels have been linked to alopecia and general thinning. You can check both with a simple blood test. If they're low, adding more lean red meat, leafy greens, lentils, or a basic supplement can make a real difference. Unlike the other steps, correcting a deficiency doesn't require lifelong treatment. Once your levels are normal, the hair that fell out often grows back on its own. And that brings up an overlooked point. Sometimes the most effective solution isn't a new product, but stopping something you're already doing every single day. Stress management through cortisol reduction. Chronic stress raises a hormone called cortisol, and elevated cortisol pushes hair follicles out of their growing phase much faster than normal. That's why people sometimes notice clumps of hair falling out 3 months after a very stressful period. Unlike genetic balding, this type of loss is often temporary, but only if the stress actually goes down. Simple practices like getting 7 to 8 hours of sleep, taking a 20-minute walk in daylight, or even doing 5 minutes of deep breathing can lower cortisol within weeks. What makes this different from everything else on this list is that it doesn't target DHT or stimulate blood flow directly. Instead, it removes a hidden brake on your body's natural regrowth cycle. You could follow every other step perfectly, but if your cortisol stays high, the results will always feel disappointing. Low-level laser therapy. This sounds like science fiction, but it's been cleared by the FDA for treating hereditary hair loss. A device that looks like a cap or a helmet shines red light at a specific wavelength onto your scalp. That light energy is absorbed by the cells inside your follicles, where it boosts their energy production and reduces inflammation. the effect is subtle and slow, typically requiring 3 to 4 sessions per week for several months. But unlike minoxidil or finasteride, laser therapy has virtually no side effects and can be used alongside anything else. It was originally studied in the 1960s on mice whose shaved hair grew back faster under certain types of light. Today, you can buy a home device for a few $100s, though the cheaper ones are often too weak to work. The real trick is consistency, because the moment you stop using it, the benefit fades. And that leads back to something mentioned earlier. The simplest steps are often the ones men give up on first, not because they don't work, but because they expect results too quickly. Scalp massage. This is the most overlooked mechanical method for stimulating blood flow to dormant follicles. You don't need any special device or expensive cream, just your fingertips applied with firm but comfortable pressure for 4 minutes every day. The technique originally comes from ancient Ayurvedic and Chinese traditions, where it was used to maintain hair health long before modern science confirmed its benefits. A 2016 study found that men who massaged their scalps twice daily for 4 minutes saw increased hair thickness after 24 weeks. The reason is simple. Physical pressure stretches the smooth muscle cells around each follicle, triggering the release of growth factors. It also warms the scalp and improves the delivery of oxygen from your blood. You can do this while watching television or sitting at your desk. The only rule is consistency, because the effect wears off if you skip more than a few days. Many men pair this with minoxidil application, and the results are noticeably better than either alone. Rosemary oil. This herb has been used for hair growth since ancient Egypt and Greece, but modern research has finally caught up. A 2015 clinical trial compared rosemary oil directly to 2% minoxidil in men with androgenetic alopecia. After 6 months, both groups showed similar increases in hair count. The rosemary group even reported less scalp itching. The active compounds in rosemary, carnosic acid and rosmarinic acid, work by blocking DHT at the local level and reducing inflammation around the follicle. You don't swallow it. You mix a few drops into a carrier oil like jojoba or coconut, then massage that blend into your scalp for 3 minutes. Leave it on for at least 30 minutes before washing it out. Some men leave it overnight with a shower cap, then rinse in the morning. The smell is strong and herbal, not unpleasant, but you may want to rinse twice. Unlike minoxidil, rosemary oil has almost no side effects, only rare skin irritation if you use too much. Start with 3 drops per application. Saw Palmetto. This is a fruit extract from a type of palm tree native to the southeastern United States. Native Americans used it for urinary health, but researchers noticed men taking it also reported less hair loss. The reason turns out to be very similar to finasteride. Saw Palmetto inhibits the same enzyme, 5-alpha reductase, but in a milder, more natural way. It doesn't enter the bloodstream as aggressively as the prescription version, which means fewer systemic side effects for most men. You can take it as a 320 milligram capsule once or twice daily with food. Studies show it works best for early stage hair loss, particularly on the crown and top of the head. Unlike finasteride, Saw Palmetto is available without a prescription in most countries, but the quality varies wildly between brands. Look for a standardized extract with at least 80% fatty acids and sterols. You won't see dramatic regrowth like with minoxidil, but as a preventive measure taken over years, it can buy you extra time before stronger interventions become necessary. And unlike the prescription route, you can start and stop Saw Palmetto without a doctor's supervision. That convenience is why millions of men quietly add it to their morning routine. Check out my other video to understand why men are balding and why evolution did not solve this issue. Let me know in the comments which treatment you have tried and what were the results. Of course, subscribe if you want to see more videos like this one.